Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam, Pangum Langaite Girim, Yat Krupatam Vande, Shri Gurum Dina Tarene. So Hare Krishna, we continue reading Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2nd, and today's verse is verse number 55. So let us chant the verse. Shri Bhagavan Vacha
Shri Bhagavan Vacha
Prajahati Yada Kaman
Prajahati Yada Kaman
Sarvan Partha Manogatan
Sarvan Partha Manogatan
Atmanyevatmana Tushta
Atmani Evatmana Tustaha
Stita Pragyas Stita Pragyastochate.
Stita Pranyas Tadochyate.
Shri Bhagavan Vacha
Shri Bhagavan Vacha
Prajahati Yada Kaman
Prajahati Yada Kaman
Sarvan Partha Manogatan
Sarvan Partha Manogatan
Atmana Tushta
Atmani Evatmana Tusta
Sita Prajnastadochate.
Stita Pranyas Tadochyate.
Please chant if someone wants to chant the shloka.
Shri Bhagavan Vacha प्रजहाति यदा कामान् सर्वान् पार्थमनोगतान् आत्मनि एवात्मना तुष्ट स्थितप्रज्ञस्तथोच्यते.
Anyone else?
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Prajahati Yada Kaman Sarvan Partha Manogatan Atmanyevatmana Tushtha Stita Prakrita Tuchyate.
So, translation and purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O Parth, when a man gives up all varieties of desire for sense gratification which arise from mental concoction, and when his mind, thus purified, finds satisfaction in the self alone, then he is said to be in pure transcendental consciousness. Purport. The Bhagavatam affirms that any person who is fully in Krishna consciousness or devotional service of the Lord has all good qualities of the great sages, whereas a person who is not so transcendentally situated has no good qualification because he is sure to be taking refuge in own mental concoction. Consequently, it is rightly said herein that one has to give up all kinds of sense desire manufactured by mental concoction. Artificially, such sense desires cannot be stopped, but if one engaged in Krishna consciousness, then automatically sense desires subside without extraneous efforts. Therefore, one has to engage himself in Krishna consciousness without hesitation. For this, devotional service will instantly help one onto platform of transcendental consciousness. The highly developed soul always remains satisfied in himself by realizing himself as eternal servitor of Supreme Lord. Such a transcendentally situated person has no sense desires resulting from petty materialism. Rather, he remains always happy in natural position of eternally serving the Supreme Lord. So here now Krishna starts answering question by Arjuna. So he's asked, who is Tita Pragya, or who is the person who is fixed in the um, divine consciousness? And there are 3 to 4 questions he has asked. So here Krishna is answering the first question. Stita Pragyas ka bhasha. What is the character? What is the character of Stita Pragya? So here Krishna is answering that question in series of slokas. Now Krishna will answer the same question, and today's is what is his character. So Prajahati Yada Kaman. So Prajahati means who stops or stops the desires. Kaman. How many desires? Sarvan, all the desires. And Manogatan, they are manufactured by mind. uh, and Atmani evatmana tushta. So he's satisfied in the self. Atma, he's satisfied in the self. Tushta means satisfied. Sthita prajnas. That is the sthita pragya, or whose consciousness is fixed. So here the importance, two characteristics given, right? One is prajahati. He gives up all the desires which are prepared by mind, and he is satisfied in the self. So desires, right? So manogatan, a very important word, that our desires are actually prepared by mind. How? The mind has impressions of the past, right? So I have experienced something. Now I experience something and I feel happy. Say, for example, I eat apple from Nagano, okay, and then I know, oh, this Nagano apple is very sweet. So this impression remains in the mind. So next time when I go to buy apple, I will search if that apple from Nagano is there or not. So that impression comes into picture when we have opportunity. So that becomes desire. So I want to eat Nagano apple. Similarly, if I eat, say, apple from some other place and it didn't taste good, so next time when I buy apple, I will try to avoid that. So maybe that one apple was bad, but the mind created the impression that these apples are bad from this area. So next time when we buy apple, we try to avoid that apple from that area. So this is how the mind creates the impression. So similarly, we have so many experiences, good and bad experiences, and those impressions remain in mind. And based on that, our desires come, good or bad, both the desires. So how many desires we have is unlimited. Nobody knows how many desires we have in our mind, and they will keep coming. Many times it happens that there is no experience of anything particular, but suddenly we want to experience that, or we get a dream about something that we have never seen in our life, but the dreams come. Then it triggers, the mind triggers. So these are impressions from the past. So we don't know how many impressions are there and how many desires are there. So if we try to satisfy all these desires, then these lifetimes are not enough, because the more we satisfy, the more we get engaged in all those desires. So once we fulfill desire, then another seed for that enjoying the desire again is already created in our heart. So again we try to enjoy. So like this, it's a never ending place. So the sthita pragya, he knows that these desires, so he tries to give up those desires. How? So, the mind desires are those desires which we generally are external, that we can see, that we can experience, that we can feel enjoyment or pain. Those are external. So, what the Sthita Pragya does, he tries to find the pleasure within himself. So we saw 2 days back that the desires will keep coming. So we have to say no to the desires which create problem in self-realization, or which may affect our self-realization process. So we have to say no to those desires and say yes to those options that will help us in self-realization. So if our mind keeps on continuously wishing or avoiding something, mind does what it does: thinking, feeling, willing, or hating. So that is mind's work. Anything you see, it tries to recall the impression. Unknowingly it happens, we even don't know. We have to observe it, that if we see anything, the mind already worked and it gave the answer yes or no. So it happens very naturally to us. So we have to work at the level of intelligence, which is higher than mind, at consciousness. We have to observe what mind is doing. So when we start observing the mind, then what we do, prajahati, we give up those desires, all the desires, sarvan. So sarvan, all the desires we give up. And what we try to do, we observe those desires, and every time desires are there, we try to focus inside. So in the activities of the self-realization, we try to focus on them. So the more we try to focus on the activities which are interior to ourselves, which are interior to us, means they, which are related to Atma, the souls of the self-realization, the mind desires will be keep coming, but we don't pay attention to that. And then those will subside slowly. So this is a characteristic of Sthita Pragya. So he's not going external. And so Sthita Pragya, because he is always internally happy, Atma Santushta. So he's satisfied with his self, means because Atma is always satisfied, it is always blissful in its original state. So if we try to work, we try to realize the self and Atma and our real identity, and then we get satisfied internally. We don't need anything out external. And that higher experience of internal happiness will help us to avoid these desires and fulfilling or running behind these desires which are created by the mind. So that person is Sthita Pragya. So these qualities we can easily see in the people around us. We can observe. If we observe the people for some time, we can notice where this person's attention is, and accordingly then we have to decide our approach. Because if our goal is self-realization, then we should associate or we should be with people who really want to work on themselves and understand the self. So um, there are people we can see, there are devotees or there are even some people who are generally satisfied, even if they don't get anything, they are satisfied, they are always happy, they are smiling. And even if somebody scolds them or gets angry, they don't react. So these people are with a higher consciousness, and they are observing and they are focusing on something higher. So we have also to focus on higher. The Krishna has told Arjuna already that you are not body, you are soul. So that is a higher state of consciousness where we should focus, and that will help us to automatically remove these desires. So meditation is process to control the mind, right? So we have to do, so people do so many activities. So looking at the candle or closing the eyes for 2 hours, so many things. Meditation is not so easy because the point problem there is we try to stop the mind without giving anything optional, any other option. So mind wants pleasure. So if we have to stop the external pleasure, then we have to give something higher where the mind will get the pleasure. So if just looking at the candle, uh, it will not help. We have to. It will be difficult. It will help, but it will be very difficult to do that. So better is to give mind a something higher cause, higher purpose of the life. Then it will not focus on the lower purposes. Like once we are in first standard, we find 1 plus 1 also difficult, 2 plus 2 also difficult, right? 5 plus 10, then it's difficult for us to calculate when we are in first and second grade. But as we grow up, we go to the higher grades, we have higher problems, higher solutions, and then this don't become very important. 1 plus 1 we already know there is nothing. So similarly, when we work on higher consciousness, we know these small pleasures are temporary and they are not giving to give us any result. So this is one of the quality of characteristic of the Sthita Pragya. And so we should also try to be Sthita Pragya. So we should focus on the process of self-realization, that is bhakti. And then automatically these external desires from the mind will be reduced. So we'll see a few more shlokas where Krishna will explain about the qualities, how he walk, talk, and that we will see from tomorrow. Continue tomorrow on those descriptions. Hare Krishna. Any other points or any other realizations? Any point that struck to you from today's shloka? And any other point that will help us to focus on self realization?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I have to share something
Yeah, yeah.
about this Sita Pranya.
Mm-hmm.
It is for us unbelievable. He's he's happy within himself. He's not attracted to anything.
Mm-hmm.
So, but if we think logically, if a small child breaks some toys or their tooth falls,
Mm-hmm.
he, he or she cries as a lost something.
Mm-hmm.
Like because too much attachment with the thing. The mother says, the mother laughs at
Mm-hmm.
the child. It's not a big thing like this. That's correct. We know that's not a big thing, but
Mm-hmm.
for the child, it is a big thing.
Right.
So similarly, we are also in this material world. Lot of things we are attached to it. We
Mm-hmm.
cannot give up. We want to enjoy it. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of things it is like that. So
Mm-hmm.
we cannot understand this Sisaprinya, how he is satisfied by himself. But for us, this Bhagavad Gita, by studying, we can realize a little how bad we are. I mean,
Yeah.
like
So
so little we can change ourselves. Then we can feel uh, happiness within ourselves at one point of time. Now it is study time, studying ourselves,
yeah,
self realization.
correct. So this is one step of self-realization to understand this knowledge, right? How the mind works, how the body works, what is higher thing. All this is required to change ourselves.
Yes.
So it's very practical. That's why Bhagavad Gita is very, very practical to improve our
Mm-hmm.
consciousness.
Yeah. Now we are like a child, if compared to the Sita Pranya
Yeah.
child. The child cries for the toys or
Hmm.
thing. We are in that very low level. We have to improve ourselves little.
Yeah. But if we can understand that, oh, I'm attached to this, oh, I'm avoiding this,
Yes, yes.
is also a better step. That's a good step. So
Mm.
slowly, yeah, it's a progressive path.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and one more thing I want to add. Now, I didn't know much about Prabhupada. I used to hear I used to heard about the lectures or something.
Mhm.
Um, he's the. I feel he is or he was. I don't know how can say.
Mhm.
Sister Pranya, he is.
Yeah, of
He went
course.
to America, but the people are going to America for enjoyment, earning a lot,
Hmm.
those things. But he went to America. He
Hmm.
had a lot. First, he didn't have anything. Lot
Right.
of things wealth came, but he didn't enjoy everything he used for the Krishna consciousness. And a
Yeah,
lot.
it's the best example how you can be when you have nothing and we have you have everything. He was same.
Mm, he's not attracted with anything because he was self-satisfied,
Yes,
happy. Mm.
exactly. Very nice point.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
So today is Srila Prabhupada's disappearance day. So,
Yes. Mm.
so it's a very good glorification that yeah, Srila Prabhupada was always fixed on self-realization. So he never felt bad when nobody supported him. And he was saying when there were so many disciples, he was saying that's the quality we should aspire for. Any other points? Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. So let us see tomorrow what Krishna explains more about Sthita Pragya. Thank you very much, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.